Episode 102, IRONMAN Lake Placid with Jennifer Dunlap. Welcome to the pursuit of the perfect race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the pursuit of the perfect race. Today I have the pleasure of talking with my friend Jennifer Dunlap about her recent race experience at IRONMAN Lake Placid in beautiful upstate New York, where she had a time of 14 hours, 32 minutes, 13 seconds. Jennifer is a first-time IRONMAN Finisher and has been doing triathlons for 3 years now. This race took place on July 22nd, 2018. The temperature on race day was 46 and rose to 79, where the water temperature was 74 degrees. Also notable to mention about this year's race was it was pouring rain and also had some hail on the bike ride. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. I look forward to hearing about your race experience at Lake Placid.
Thank you.
So what made you want to do this race?
It was a combination of things. My coach kind of steered me in that direction, and it's close to home. So I figured, let's try to save money where I can. So Lake Placid seemed to be the one.
Okay. So did you know how hard this course was versus other venues?
I did. I trained with a friend of mine had done the full last year, and I had signed up for the half. So we did training out there, and I felt comfortable on the course. I knew it would be challenging, but I thought it was something I could do.
Okay. And this was your very first time doing a full distance triathlon. Did you think it was going to be as hard or as easy as it was for you?
I really didn't quite know what to expect. I was intimidated by the time that I would have to put in to the race. So that kind of scared me, staying on top of my nutrition. But once I got started, it all seemed to fall right into place.
Okay. Now, going into this race, how was your training?
It was pretty much like a year and a half venture. So it started really heavy in January, and we just kind of went from there. My coach has been with me for 4 years, and he tried to balance my work schedule and workout schedule and try to have some semblance of a family life.
Right. So you're married, right?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been married?
27 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Any kids?
We have 3.
Wow, big family.
Yes, and they're all grown up, so.
So did you have a previous background in any of the 3 sports before you got into triathlon?
I started running in 2012.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a family thing where my sister-in-law that I competed at the race with wanted to do a family challenge. And at that point, after, raising kids and trying to get back into shape and not being happy with how I looked and felt, I was like, why not give it a try? So I started running, and then it went from there.
Wow. Going into this race, what was your longest swim, bike, and run workouts?
I actually was able to swim. My longest swim got up to 3.5 miles in open water. My longest bike was 121 miles, and my longest run was 21.
Wow. How was your confidence going into this race with that?
Fairly decent. I had my doubts at times, but I knew deep down inside that I can do whatever it takes to get to the finish line.
Okay. Now, with your training, how many bricks were you doing?
I managed maybe 1 a week, sometimes 2, depending on the time frame that I had.
Okay. Were these longer runs off the bike, or were these always shorter?
There was a combination. For a couple of weeks, I was doing 2 to 3 hour bike and then an hour run following that. And then my long bikes, my 5, 6, 7 hour bike rides, then I ran for 10 minutes off the bike.
Okay. For your nutrition, whenever you were working out for long periods of time, what would you use?
A combination of Cliff Blocks, Cliff Gels, and Honey Stinger waffles.
Okay.
That seems to be my thing. And as far as fluids, I use Noon. I like that. I'm not a huge Gatorade fan. So between water and then Noon tablets.
Were you trying to hit a certain number of calories per hour?
I didn't get that far into it. I was trying not to overthink it. So I just kind of went by feel. What do I need? Stay on top of it, because I have experienced before in my training that I would get hypoglycemic at times. So I just tried to keep it at a constant rate so that I wasn't hitting those pits.
That makes sense. Now, what sessions did you do that gave you the confidence to go into this race prepared?
I think it was more the mental challenge of it. Yeah. I had more mental breakdowns, I think, because I knew I put the work in and I knew I had the strength to get through it. But when your mind starts going to those dark places and getting scared, was I truly going to be ready?
That makes sense. Now, did you have any days where you just didn't want to train?
No, not really, because I'm very regimented. I'm a nurse by trade and I teach, so I'm very used to a routine. So once I got into my routine, I was very, if this is what I'm told I have to do, I did it and carried on from there. When my work schedule changed I had to work weekends, we had to modify so that I could fit everything in, and we just went from there.
Okay. Now, being that you're living up in the Northeast, I'm assuming, how was your training? Was a lot of it inside?
For the most part, yeah. Up until June, I did a 70.3 in Raleigh the first weekend in June, and I didn't get any open water time in until I got down to the race. So I actually spent like 45 minutes in the water 2 days before the race. And then race day was really the first time I had put the distance in.
Wow. And that was
I did
a
get
really
on my
hot
bike.
water swim, too.
Yeah, 81 degrees on race day. Something I'm not used to up here.
Man, if you take a look at your training overall, what was the most hours you trained in 1 week?
Probably 15 to 16 hours a week.
Okay. Now, aside from training and racing and traveling to races, what else do you have on your plate that you do?
Besides work, that's pretty much it, and balancing my family.
Okay. How big of an issue was balancing life, work, and training?
It wasn't terrible. Once we figured out and modified my schedule to make sure that I was getting the time in, everything seemed to fall into place. I didn't like having to work from 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then go out and do my long runs. But really, it helped because that was the time of day I was going to be running anyways.
That makes sense. Did you make any sacrifices going into this race?
As far as probably cut down on my family time. My husband didn't really appreciate some of the times that I had to sorry, we can't do that because I need to go out and ride my bike or I need to run or something like that. But it all worked out.
Okay. What was your taper like going into this race?
We cut down on the volume probably like a week out. So it really didn't feel like a huge taper, but it was enough that I was rested going into the race and felt really strong.
Okay. To change gears a little bit, when did you start traveling to the race venue?
We left here on Wednesday, so we were up there Wednesday before the race.
Okay.
So that we had time to get up there and get acclimated and all that.
Did y'all get like an Airbnb or a hotel?
No, we camp. So we stayed we took our camper and went up there.
Okay. Did y'all stay at the KOA up there?
We did.
Nice. How much was that?
Like under $400.
Wow.
Because we stayed for the full week.
That's like super cheap.
Exactly. Since people were paying that for one night at the hotel.
Yes. Very much so. Well, that's really good. And they have showers there at the KOA too, right?
Yep. Everything was right there. And our camper's fully like a great big camper. So we were able to take care of all that.
Wow. So you didn't have to worry about getting your bike up there. You just brought it with you.
Nope. We just brought it with us.
Wow. So have you done big events like Ironman before where it was a lot of pride taking into going into this, where you have been training for a long time going into this kind of race?
I think once I started doing the 70.3s, because my first one was in 2016, so that involved having to put the training in and get to the venue, because the first one I did was in Canada.
Okay.
And then Lake Placid was local. I was able to do Syracuse, which was local, and the farthest distance we traveled was down to Raleigh in the spring. So,
okay, so you had already experienced somewhat of the prestige of Ironman.
Right.
And then going into Lake Placid, being that you had done the 70.3 there, you kind of knew the area, you kind of knew the venue, you had been on the course before in a sense.
Yep.
Now then, whenever you got to the Lake Placid this time, was there a different kind of prestige to this, being that it was the full?
I think so. I was intimidated once I started seeing the mountains getting up there. I was very intimidated by the whole thing, going, wow, am I really going to do this? But the whole village, everything is so welcoming, and everything around there, everybody's out there on the course training, whether it be in Mirror Lake or out on the bike route, on the run route. It just seems like it's a place where athletes want to be.
That makes sense. How was your check-in process?
Relatively easy. We wound up going in late Thursday evening, I believe. So it was like a little before the closing, and it didn't take us long.
Okay. So what all kind of gear did you get?
As far as
like the swag?
The swag stuff, the bag and a poster and some other stuff, not a whole heck of a lot.
Nothing that really sticks out?
Nothing that really sticks out. The bag, the logo, if you look at it, was upside down. So it's kind of...
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But it was a decent bag. It was better than the one we got in Raleigh, so...
Oh, that's good. Now, after you get your stuff and check in, what all are y'all doing before you check your bike in on Saturday?
Trying to think, what did we do? I think my bike, I noticed when we were out on the course for my last long ride when we were up there, I noticed a noise in the bike itself. So we went and got it checked out and had to have the chain replaced once I got up there. So they kind of delayed us making sure everything was ready. Spent the day pretty much like walking around and going into the village and trying to get into the spirit of the whole thing and get excited. So
how was your check-in for the bike and everything the Saturday beforehand?
It wasn't bad. It really flowed easily. There was a long line. If you remember Lake Placid, we were up. Pretty much the line was up to the arena.
Wow.
So we had to stand in there, and we got there relatively early. It was probably around 11. So it took a little bit of time just to get down into the check-in area. But once we got in there, I thought the bikes were a little tight together, but...
And it was also hot that day.
Yes, it was.
Were you kind of aware of getting in a certain nutrition plan or hydration plan the day before?
I really tried to stick to what my diet plan was. When you're out on the venue, you want to make sure we had snacks and drinks and all of that. So to try to stay on top of that.
Okay. Now, did you have a certain meal you wanted to get in to help you prepare for the race?
I'm very regimented in how I eat. So like Friday night, that's when I do my carb loading, when I had pasta and meatballs and all of that. And then Saturday, I just kind of eat lighter, more protein and good carbs. So usually I eat turkey and sweet potatoes and broccoli. That's my go-to meal for dinner.
Okay. What time did you try to get in bed the night before the race?
Usually I'm try to be to bed by 9, but I couldn't settle my mind down at all. So it was closer to 10 by the time I finally got in bed.
A little race day nerves?
Yeah, I think so.
So you were excited then?
Yeah, I was. By that point, I was like, all right, I think I'm ready. My coach allowed me to melt down a couple of times. And the last one, he says, that's it, you're done. He goes, get your game face on, put your big girl panties on, and get it done. So.
Wow. Who's your coach?
His name's Tim Liddon. He's a local guy.
Nice. I haven't heard of him.
Yep. But he's from the area, so we have one-on-one. We work together like that, so very nice. I'm very fortunate.
Good. So you wake up on the morning of the race. What time is your alarm set for?
3:30.
3:30. So
yep.
You get up at 3:30. What's your race day morning ritual like before you leave to go to the race venue?
Try to get up, get at least part of my kit on, get ready, eat breakfast. That's the priority, to try to get food in because it's not easy to eat that time of the morning. So I got up, made my oatmeal, sat down, just tried to relax and let everybody else get ready while I was eating. And we probably left the campground about 4:15.
Okay. Did y'all hit a lot of traffic on the way over there?
Not too bad. There's kind of like a caravan per se of people leaving the KOA to get down to the race. So it wasn't terrible.
Okay. Now, whenever you got to transition, did you have to find somewhere to park, or were you dropped off somewhere?
We were actually very fortunate, being that we were up there last year for the race. We kind of knew where we could go, so we were able to park down by Lisa G's in front of the old train station. So we got really decent parking.
Good. Now, after you get to transition, you get to your bike and you're putting everything on your bike, and you obviously have your bags already set. What did you put in your bags?
My bike bag, I wound up putting in a jacket because I had forgotten to bring that with me. So my son brought that up. I had a pair of arm sleeves in there, my helmet, obviously my bike gear, and my nutrition for the morning. My run bag had all knew I was going to change just because I got really uncomfortable running in my kit, during training. So I was like, you know what? I'll take the few minutes and change into run clothes so that I was more comfortable for that. And I did throw some nutrition into my run bag just so I had that. My run special needs I never even used. Okay. I just left it. I had like a couple of shoes and maybe a honey stinger waffle in there and a long sleeve shirt, but I didn't need that. And my bike transition, I had just the nutrition that I needed for the second loop.
Okay. So for this bike ride, are you using a tri-bike?
Yes, I do have a tri-bike.
What kind of bike do you have?
I have a Cervalo P2.
Nice. Do you have the digital shifting on there?
I do.
Nice. Did it short out on this day?
No. Nope. It was absolutely perfect. Yep.
Because of the rain, I talked to one guy that actually had his E-tap mess up, and he was stuck in 1 or 2 gears for like 90 miles.
Oh, that's awful.
Yes. So going back to your bike here, how much PSI did you use on race day?
90.
90? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did that work pretty well for you?
It did. Yep. Everything seemed to go fine. My only issue on the bike is that I got cold.
Okay. Now, to kind of get a better understanding here, how deep are the wheels that you're using?
I have Continentals 23, I believe. I'm not really good on what my gear is, but I had new tires put on, so they were Continentals and they were 23.
Okay. Are you using race wheels?
I did not have race wheels.
Okay.
Nope. That's looking to next year. That's probably where I'm going to go.
I mean, they're so cheap. I mean, you can just...
I know.
Up, right? So you head over to the swim start with your wetsuit in hand. It's about a half a mile walk over there. As you're walking over there, how's your mindset at this point?
I was feeling pretty good. I was like, I didn't know what the swim was going to entail. Like, as far as the self-seeding, I was kind of worried, what if I don't seed myself correctly? So that was kind of going through my mind. I knew the water temps were going to be okay. I was just happy I could wear my wetsuit because that is a long distance to have to go without it. And yeah, just trying to keep the nerves down. But I had a great support crew with me, so they kind of kept me distracted.
Okay. Now you get down to the swim start. You actually see the swim. The pros go off. You're already in the corral. Where did you seed yourself at?
I wound up putting myself in like the 151 to 2 hours just because I truly wasn't sure. Because every time I get to a race, I know what I've done in my training, but I feared maybe it wasn't accurate.
That makes sense.
So it'd be better to be I didn't want to get run over or put myself too far up and then get people upset with me for not swimming fast enough.
Right. So the gun goes off for the age groupers. How's your anxiety and nervousness at this point?
At that point, I had almost like a serene moment. Like, all right, you know what? It is what it is. Let's go and have fun. And one thing I've been told from the very beginning when I started racing is always begin with the end in mind. And I had read a post that somebody had put up on the forum, water is life. That's where we come from, and be one with the water. And I was like, all right, let's go. And that's the part that I struggle with the most is just I'm not a swimmer by trade. So that was all new to me and had to learn how to swim.
Wow. Now you get in the swim. Walk me through the swim course for you.
It went relatively well. I usually try to seed myself towards the back. I don't want to get in anybody's way. So I to be more towards the outside. I didn't want to be on the cable because that's where the majority of people want to get to. But somehow I wound up getting pushed over close to the cable. And I just tried to pay attention to the pockets so that I wasn't getting beat up. And I was able to get into a decent rhythm. I think I did a lot of drafting, but not much you can do about that without the player and with the general population.
Right. I mean, and that's part of the swimming. I mean, if you can catch a draft or stay on somebody's feet in the swim, it's so worth it because you can actually take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
So after you get done with the swim, do you take advantage of the wetsuit strippers?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Now, this year they were actually on the sand.
Yes.
Did you like that?
No, I was covered in sand. Like the whole back end of me was completely sand. So trying to get that off before I got on the bike was important. And especially trying to get my nutrition into my shirt. It was full of sand. So at least the volunteer was able to help me clean it off a little bit.
Right. You would think, being that you have almost a half a mile, there's plenty of space on the road that they shut down.
Right.
To put the wetsuit strippers on concrete.
Right.
They do it at Santa Rosa and other races, and at this race they're like, oh, here's some sand for you. Let's make you a sugar cookie.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I just don't understand it. Now, you get to your transition area. It's about a half a mile away. It's all carpeted. You go up, and down into transition. You get to the T1 tent. How does T1 go for you?
It was a little hectic in that tent. There was very limited space, and
really?
Yeah, it was very tight in there. So it was like trying to find a spot where I could actually put myself stuff down, dry off, and try to get ready. So I was a little delayed in there and finally had to ask somebody for help because I wanted to get the sand off the back of me and get my nutrition in my shirt just because my arms weren't working all that great at that moment. So a little delayed, but once I got out, it seemed to be okay. I got to my bike quickly and got to bike out, but that turned into a traffic jam. So I just pretty much stood there and waited for a couple of minutes because I didn't want to crash into anybody.
Right. Now, you get to your bike. Did someone already have your bike ready for you?
No.
So you just had to go and get it off the rack?
You had to go and get it off the rack and get to the bike out area.
Okay. Now, you get out on the bike course. How does the first few miles go for you?
The first few miles felt good. You know, I was in biking that's where I pride myself in how I can perform. So I didn't want to go all out like I typically would. So I just chilled myself down, tried to relax, get into a nice comfortable groove. Don't worry about passing anybody. And it felt good. And I made the mistake of when I got out of the water that, oh, it's not going to rain. It's going to be fine. So I never put sleeves on and I never put a jacket on.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I got out of the Van Valkenburg loop and looked towards Keene where I knew we were going to get into trouble because you could see you could see the black clouds moving in the rain up ahead. So
before race day, were you even paying any attention to the weather?
I was. And, you know, it was supposed to start raining in the middle of the night and then it didn't rain. And I was just kind of holding out all hope. And I was like, well, if it does rain, maybe it won't be that long. And I really did not anticipate getting that cold.
Really?
Yeah.
Before you started the bike ride, did you have a kind of plan that you wanted to have in place to attack the bike ride?
I had a goal that I wanted to be done with the bike like in 7 hours, 7:15, just be smart. The biggest part of the course that bothers me is the Keene descent.
Really?
I will climb any day, but I hate to descend. The speed just freaks me out. So knowing I had to survive that piece, and I did better than I thought, but there was so much wind and rain that it was don't fall and don't get hurt.
Okay. Now, as far as the bike ride goes, do you have anything to tell someone to be aware of that hasn't done this bike course before?
It's important. You have to train. Some people, one of the girls that rode the course with me prior to the race, she's not a climber. She will do flat any day, and she loves speed. So going down the descents, she had a great time, but it's something you have to focus on hills. You got to get that elevation change in and really work towards it, because if you don't, there's no way you're going to make it through.
Okay. Now, how did your nutrition plan go as far as execution?
I think it went well. The last probably 12 miles, I wasn't sure. Is my bladder just getting really full? Am I getting nauseous? Did I overeat? So at 100 miles, I was like, I'm done. So I just sipped a little bit between Gatorade and water and everything. I had good energy throughout it. So I think I did exactly what I wanted to. I wound up taking a little more in than I usually did, but I figured better to get ahead of the game, because usually on the run, I know myself, I tend to not get enough nutrition in. So I tried to pack it in as best I could.
Okay. Now, did you have a certain cadence or power or heart rate number you were going off of?
No, not really. When I was training, I used my heart rate monitor and tried to keep my heart rate well within zone 2, which I usually achieve. So I tried to maintain, that same kind of cadence. I don't use a power meter. I don't have any of the bells and whistles or any of that stuff right now. So I just wanted to not push myself to the point where I would burn myself out.
Right. How were the aid stations on the bike ride?
They were good. I can't say that there was any issues. Was able to get in and out. If I asked them to pull over, they helped me refill my water bottles and get off on my way.
Okay. As far as the quality of the road on this course, how was it?
For the most part, I think it was good. There were some really choppy areas, like the first part of the Keene descent could be used to be paved. There was a lot of rough road in there, but there were parts that were newer paved or at least patched so they weren't so bumpy. Hazelton Loop had a little bit of area, but the majority of that was all freshly paved. So really the road quality was decent I would probably say 90% of it.
Okay. As far as the first loop going, how did the first loop go for you?
Between the rain, like I said, I got really, really cold. I started trembling and I knew that was hampering my progress. One of the fellow racers was kind enough to pull over when he heard myself talking with somebody else and offered me his arm sleeves and a wind vest just so I could get warmed up.
Wow.
Yeah. So I lost a little bit of time there just to get myself, geared up with that. And once I got going again, I think it took me until halfway through the second loop to warm up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in between miles 80 and 95, were you hitting any of the dark places?
No.
Really?
No. I felt really good. I really did. I was like, all right, I got this portion of it. I think when I got into Wilmington, into the town itself, and realized there was only 12 miles to go, it's like, all right, we're going to get this done. I think I maintained pretty much the same speed on the second loop. I may have slowed down a little bit going up that last little bit, part of the Three Bears, but I think I maintained a decent pace.
Okay. Now, whenever you started getting ready to get to T2, did you have a plan of increasing or decreasing your cadence to start preparing for the run?
There was actually somebody out on the course, and it must have been before we got to Mirror Lake Drive, somewhere in that where you turn off of Papa Bear and going up in there. He's like, all right, guys, start preparing yourselves. Get out of arrow, stand up, move your legs around, get that blood flowing a little bit differently. And I did just that, and I was like, I know I can I've practiced this. I'll be strong. And whatever it was, just changing up, and maybe the adrenaline of knowing that two portions were done and I just had one more to go. There was a lot of excitement there. So I felt decent getting off the bike.
Good. Now you get to T2 and somebody takes your bike from you, and you have to kind of take a right and go around the medical tent to get to your bag. You get your bag and go in the changing tent. How was that for you?
That was okay. Grabbing the bag and getting into the tent. I mean, the volunteers were fantastic in there. I don't know what happened between the bike transition and the run transition. Maybe they got a new crew in, but it was very helpful. I mean, these ladies were incredible, helped me actually change, got everything out of my bag. What did I want? What didn't I want? Making sure I was 100% ready to go before I got out there. Even put on my race bib for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you get out on the run course. How does the first mile go for you? You have plenty of people around you. The excitement, the energy is just undescribable, pretty much. And you're going basically downhills at this point.
Yep.
How was all that energy for you?
Well, that's as soon as I got out, I got to see my support crew and my family. So that just got me going. And before I realized it, when I looked at my watch, I'm like, okay, we got to slow down, because I was running like 920s. And I was like, ooh, this is not good. So I had to kind of cool my jets. When I got down to the first aid station, I was like, all right, calm yourself down. I stopped. I took a gel from them, took some water. And usually in any previous race that I've done, I get to the run and I totally crap out. It's like, there's nothing left. Like, maybe I can run for the first mile and then it starts the whole death march. I pretty much ran the whole entire first half marathon.
Wow.
I got aid station to aid station and I really felt fantastic.
How was the first loop for you?
The first loop was good. When I got back onto Sentinel Road off of River Road, that long first incline, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to waste the energy here. I'm just going to walk up this. And, and I think that's what I needed. I just took that little break to get up there and then ran the rest of the way. And then once I turned around and got back, I got myself all the way back down to River Road again. And then I kind of started doing more in the walk run part of that. I definitely slowed down the second loop. But I figured, again, energy conservation. Let's be smart. Why burn myself out if I don't need to?
Right. Did you have a plan of a run-walk strategy before you even started the race of what to do on the run?
I really wanted to run as much as I could. And if I needed to, do as far as run for 2 minutes, walk for 30 seconds, whatever I needed to do. But it got to the point where it was like, okay, you're going to run to the tree. Okay, if you get to the tree, run to the next tree. And I just kind of gave myself points of goals to get to. Okay. And yeah, that kind of worked. And once I started realizing, because my watch died 9 miles into the run. And when I got back on River Road and I started realizing, okay, what's the time of day? I had no inkling or any clue when it was. I was like, I know it's not midnight. I know it's not 11, 10, 9 because the sun's still out. So I knew it was somewhere around 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then I think I kind of got that energy knowing that I'm going to finish well within the time frame and I can take my time if I need to.
Right. Now, what was the funniest thing that you saw on the run course?
I think it was all the signs for Jeremy.
Really?
Yes, there were so many signs out there for this guy. It was utterly hysterical that you just kept reading the signs and what's the next one? They were pretty much every mile, I think.
Wow. What kind of signs were they? Just like male signs?
From his family. He's single and ready to mingle. Get your butt in gear. Stop walking. Just a lot of different, I think, just to keep him going. So it was quite entertaining.
Wow. How was the support on the course?
Once you got back out onto the main road, it was really good. You got the goofballs that are in their Speedos cheering people on and, people with the big foam hands, really giving support. And it just seemed like overwhelming when I would come upon people in the crowd and they're like going, you're doing a great job. You got a great cadence. You got great form, keep going when others around me were walking. So it kind of gave me like a little bit more of a oomph, like, yeah, you're really doing it and you're doing a good job.
Right. Whenever you checked into the race, did you get one of the red bands to give a volunteer?
I did.
Who did you give that to?
I left it in my bag. I totally forgot it. But the woman in the T2 tent, when I changed, I wound up giving her a big hug and kiss. And I said, thank you. You have been a blessing to helping me get ready because I don't know if I could have been as nice as she was.
Wow. So you didn't really get anything in your special needs for the run.
No.
Mentally, between miles 15 and 18, you're back there in the woods pretty much going around this long, winding road.
Yep.
How hard was that for you?
That's where it started to get, trying to figure out where was that turnaround. And I think there was a gentleman that was like sitting, if you remember the course, there's like an area where a little stream kind of comes through and there's a little bridge and this guy's just sitting there. I said, for the love of God, please tell me where this turnaround point is. And he laughed. He goes, I swear, it's like a half a mile ahead of you. Just keep going. But those turnaround points just seem to get farther and farther away.
Because the first time around, you're not really paying attention to where it is. You're just, whatever, right. No big deal. But then the second time, you're like, man, I wish I would have paid attention just a little bit more.
Exactly.
Man. So between miles 20 and 25, how is your mental status? Are you doing pretty good? Are you
I was not fighting any demons at all. I was shocked. I was like, you know what? I feel great. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to do this again.
Really?
Honestly, I like, you're crazy, you're insane, but I felt that good. And I think it was because I forced myself to maintain my nutrition on the run so that I didn't fall apart, so that I still felt good. And again, with the crowd support, it really helped.
Right. Did you go to Coke or Red Bull on the run?
I did.
You did? When did you start going to Coke?
Probably halfway through the first loop. You know, it's like I know that I will use Red Bull or Coke just to get something different in, because I would grab like a handful of pretzels, get some pretzels, wash it down with a Red Bull or Coke, and then go from there. But then once they started bringing the broth out, that was a game changer. I was like, all right, that's good stuff. I need that. Right.
So between miles 20 and 26, you're still feeling good. You're getting back into town. The crowd support is still on the side of the road for the most part, but you can hear the arena off in the distance at the Oval. What were you thinking when you started hearing the Oval?
It's just crazy as you're coming back into town, when you can finally see the arena up on the hill and you see the red, white, and blue, and then you see all the lights, and it's like, oh my God, it's like, I'm almost there. I'm going to be there soon.
Right.
It was just crazy.
And then you come up the hill, and then you see the Oval, and then you take a right going away from
You got to keep running.
Right? And did you get discouraged by going away from the Oval at all?
Right when I got up and I turned onto Mirror Lake Drive, my family was right there.
Oh, really?
And there were a lot of people walking around me, and they started cheering me on because I was running. You know, some guy got me down by the Stewarts because I walked a little bit as I got to the stoplight up that next little bit, and he's like, you've gotten this far, get your butt in gear and get running. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I got running, and my son was off on the sidewalk and started running with me, and he goes, Mama, when did you ever run hills? You've never done this. Look at you, watch you, you're going. And it just gave me that last little bit that I needed to get up and around. And again, you get to that turnaround point going, am I ever going to hit the turnaround? Where did it go in the dark?
Right. Did you have a headlamp or any type of light on you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, they started handing out like the glow sticks as I was getting off a road. It was still light, but there were people coming in. So I think it was to give the people that they knew were going to be in the dark.
That makes sense. Now, you get to the point in the road where you can go out for your second loop, or you can take the right to go into the Oval.
Mm-hmm.
How was that feeling right there?
Oh, that was awesome. I was like, oh my God, this thing's done.
So you get into the Oval. How was that?
When I first entered in, I tripped. I was like, oh dear God, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to slip and I'm going to fall and at the end of the damn race. So I pulled myself together, but there was like three of us. There was a gentleman like right in front of me and a woman right next to me. So it was like, all right, everybody says you got to space yourself out. So I kind of let the gentleman get ahead of me, and I stayed ahead of the woman that was next to me, and people high-fiving. I had no clue that there were that many people that were going to be there cheering people on.
Wow. So you get on the red carpet. How was your experience on the red carpet?
Blinding. You know, I could hear my family, you know, above all that noise and everything else, but I could hear them cheering, and to just run towards that light and hear them, it was just insane.
Wow. So you finished the race. How was the finish line experience for you?
Overwhelming. You know, I cried. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did this. And I wanted to be with my family, but you can't get to your family yet. So they're like, come on, shuffling you along, being like the concierge, and got my pictures done. And then the gentleman walked with me and offered me, what can I get you to eat? And really my main focus, I knew my sister-in-law had finished. So to try to find her so that we can be back together.
Okay. So how was your recovery process?
Actually, I was shocked at how good I felt. I was a little sore Monday morning, but felt so much better than I think I had felt in so long, because with all the training, you get beat down so much that it went well. I'm struggling more this week than I was last week.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I really didn't do much. We stayed up in Placid until Wednesday and traveled home then. And, obviously I wasn't getting into any intense workouts or anything. So my husband made me promise that I'd give him a week, that no activity whatsoever. So I didn't. I was like, okay. And I lasted until Monday, when I went back and I started spin class again, and I went for my first run. So I don't know if it's just adding the activity back in that's just kind of broken me down a little bit.
Right. Looking back on it, how well prepared for this race do you think you were?
I was very well prepared. I really was. I don't think I could have asked. I went in with an overarching goal that I wanted to finish within 15 hours. And I was like, in the back of my head, it was like 14:30 would be really cool if I could pull that off. So really, I met my goals. I really had a solid foundation. I was strong, nutritionally sound. So really everything worked out quite well. I know what we need to work on for next time. So
next time?
Yeah.
Are you ready sure already?
I think I'm going to do much next year. I won't be doing any more races this year.
Oh, wow. Why Mont Tremblant versus Placid?
My sister-in-law that I raced with, she's out of Charlotte, and she's on a tri-team down there, and they voted me in to the tri-club, and that's where the whole team's going.
Okay.
So that I was like, all right. They like to try new venues, so I'm like, all right, I can go along for the ride. They said, as long as now that I'm an official member of the team, this is what we're doing. I'm like, okay, I can do that.
So what's something that you learned about this experience being a first-timer that you'd want to share with someone that hasn't done this before? That
never give up. To always believe if you set your mind to something, you can do it, no matter what. And that's, from my experience, I went and watched my first triathlon in 2014, and that was my sister-in-law's first half that she had done. And talking with the people in that venue, they're like, are you a racer? I'm like, no, I could never do that. I can't swim. And they're like, that's the easy part. Find yourself a coach, somebody to teach you how to swim. Anybody can survive the swim. And that's go out and try and believe in yourself.
Okay. Now, how could Ironman have made your race experience better as an athlete?
I'm not really sure, because it's hard to base upon. Outside of doing local races, you can't compare that to the Ironman, so I really can't say. Would I like to see something different besides Gatorade endurance on the course? Yeah, but other than that, I really can't think of anything else.
Okay. For new coming first-timers next year doing this race, what advice would you like to give them?
For the first-timers going in there, put your time in. Get a good coach, somebody that knows them inside and out, that can help them get to where they need to be. Don't miss your workouts. Practice your hills, both on the bike and during the run, because it's not an easy course. And the number of people I heard on the course that said that they really didn't put the running miles in, I think that's important too. You can't just let one of the disciplines fall aside.
Right. We covered quite a bit about your race. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I think when taking on these endeavors, you have to take life into consideration. You can't let your family fall to the wayside. You can't let work. It has to be an equal balance.
That makes sense. Now, to transition a little bit, instead of talking about the race and all that fun stuff, what's next for you?
For this year, I have a half marathon in November. That's pretty much it. I'll probably do a local race that's like a 14K race, just because. And I really would love to do another try, But being that I'm going to be on weekends again, I can't fit anything else into the schedule for the fall.
That makes sense. Now, did you get the tattoo yet?
Not yet.
So you are going to get it?
I am.
Where are you going to get it at?
I'm going to put it on my right shoulder blade.
Okay. So is that going to be your first tattoo too?
It is. It is something that I always said, no. But it's like, you know what? This is something that I need to do.
Right. So what races are on your bucket list?
I'm going to do Quasi in the spring.
Okay.
I've heard wonderful things about that, so I really want to experience that. Mont Tremblant has been in the back of my mind because I've heard wonderful things about that. Would it be amazing to someday get to Kona? Absolutely. I don't know if it's within my power, but hey, something to strive for.
Are there any running races that are on your bucket list?
Next year, Marine Corps Marathon.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm doing that this year.
Are you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's October 28th this year, and I'll be down there doing that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I never had any intentions of ever running a marathon. So I did my first one last year. I'm like, all right, I can do that. And my sister-in-law did Marine Corps. And I've heard so many people say such wonderful things about it that it's like, yeah, I really want to do that.
Wow. So if athletes that are listening to this want to follow you, how can they follow you?
I'm on Instagram and I'm also on Facebook.
Nice. What's your Instagram handle?
Good question.
Well, I'll find that out and put it on the show notes for everybody, okay?
Oh, that'll be perfect.
Great. So I only have one more question for you, and this is my favorite question to ask everybody that's been on this show so far. What's your definition of a perfect race?
The definition of a perfect race? I would have to say that weather would be perfect in the 60s, maybe low 70s. No humidity, a little bit of cloud cover. Direct sun and humidity just are not great. So I would probably say those kind of conditions. And just someplace that has great crowd support. You know, I'm from an area, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Utica Boilermaker. It's a 15K road race that is like the largest in the country. And race from beginning to end is lined. The streets are lined throughout the whole entire city. You know, so to have that kind of support is just absolutely amazing.
Wow. Well, that's all I have for you. Well, we'll talk soon, and you have a good day, okay?
All right, great. All right, Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.